Yo, 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 we are live. Welcome back to another Wednesday episode of Foundations of DeFi with Reggie Middleton. I am your co-host, Marlon. And again, I have Reggie Middleton with me. How you doing today, sir?
I am doing well. Slightly sleep deprived, but otherwise doing very well. I'm
It's
always
okay. It's summertime's here. We getting in. I see you got the fly shirt, like you ready to go hit the Miami beach. So
sunlight for like 6 months.
look, I'm still trying to get my tan going because I was looking real light skinned after this winter. All right, you got the link to post out, the tweet out.
I see it's in the sent.
All right.
How was it sent? I saw it came up on the phone, but I'll figure it out though. Are we
All right.
recording now?
Yeah, we live. We live.
Okay, well, let's have a discussion. I'll figure the tweet out because how was it sent?
I'm about to send it to you in the signal now. I just
Okay.
sent it to you in signal.
Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to multitask.
All right. Now today, everybody's seen the title, or if you haven't seen the title, Bitcoin, Reggie Middleton. Possible infringement? We don't know. Your research tells us some more. Now, let me pull up this one tweet that you had where you say, share my screen. All right, here we go. Now, conditional value transfer patents not only touch Ethereum, Solana, and Ripple and the assets that run on those chains, and not only Bitcoin, but the forks of Bitcoin as well, which include Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin Gold. Now, a lot of people may not like to hear this, Reggie, but do you care to give us a brief introduction into why or reasons why you believe or your research believes that Bitcoin may be infringing on the patents?
Okay, so I'm going to do some quick definitions in one concept. Your belief, as in a viewer or observer, your belief in something is absolutely irrelevant to the fact. So let's keep that in mind. So whether you want something to be true or not, doesn't make it true or not. It's just a matter of what you wish or what you want. Actual infringement is either proven in a court of law or agreed upon by two parties, as I understand it, okay? And the evidence that we've uncovered is rock solid. I mean, this stuff, if you study it and research it correctly, it's not as if it's infringement being conducted by a biopharmaceutical company that's keeping its molecular formula hidden behind 15 layers of concrete wall and steel. This is open source code where everybody just go to GitHub, download it, and read it. You simply compare that to the patent claims and the patent specification. Does it match? Yes or no? Voila. So the case for Bitcoin infringement, from our perspective, is rock solid. It's just rock solid. It's so solid that I don't think anybody who we may approach to pay us a license fee is going to want to go to court. From my perspective, if I was an executive on the other side, I think it would be downright foolish. Absolutely foolish. You'll fight a battle, you'll end up losing, then you have to pay attorney fees and punitive damages for something that you can read was infringing from the get-go and just cut it. Okay, the only reason I wouldn't want to cut a deal is because the other side was being unreasonable, and unreasonable is not who we are. I'm a very reasonable man. So that's it in a nutshell. The answer to the questions everybody would ask, what we patented was the conditional transfer of value, which means you could transfer value from A to B conditional upon X, Y, and Z variables or circumstances. That wasn't Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin predates the patent. We use the Bitcoin blockchain and the Bitcoin script to do certain things. And in doing that, we built in more advanced functionality, basically DeFi. Okay, actually DeFi, which is a conditional transfer of value. Before then, Bitcoin was just the transfer of value. If you read the Bitcoin white paper, it discusses And that's what Bitcoin is supposed to be, not digital gold and all that other nonsense, but, which it's not anyway, but that's the marketing memes. Bitcoin is peer-to-peer internet cash, internet money, basically, or internet currency. The people who program BTC, Bitcoin Core, and also Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold now, and also another fork, Bitcoin SV, have built in additional functionality. Basically, they're proving that Vitalik Buterin was right. Because Vitalik Buterin went to the Bitcoin Foundation and said, we need to build in more functionality, a stronger scripting language, maybe full Turing, etc. They said, no, that's too risky. We don't want to do that. That made him go off and build Ethereum. Ethereum has much more popularity, usage growth than Bitcoin. Now, when I say popularity, I mean popularity in actual usage, not popularity in the media or in investment.
Right.
Now, to clarify that, this stuff is technology, but you let Gary Gensler and the SEC and Wall Street, marketing guys and traders convince you that this stuff is an investment class or an investment asset. It is not. It is technology. It is no more an investment asset than the internet is an investment asset. And so the multiple IP infringement disputes that will be coming up over the next year is going to show everybody the truth, because you can't have an IP infringement suit over a common stock or a bond.
Right.
Okay? You have it over
quick question. You mentioned that Bitcoin before your patent was filed was just peer-to-peer transfer, and that basically the improvements over time, which we see are the BIPs, the Bitcoin improvement proposals. Are you saying that over time, I guess at some point, that improvement to the Bitcoin blockchain is what made it sorry, I'm stumbling on my words, but that improvement is what led to it possibly infringing?
Okay, so it definitely led to it from my perspective, from my opinion. And by the time I come out and say something publicly, it's been thoroughly researched, okay, and multiple parties. We have one group or two groups or two parties, and their sole job is to break the thesis, to prove us wrong. We do this to make sure it's bulletproof. So by the time I announce something, I'm fairly confident. What Bitcoin did was it incorporated my invention, multiple parts of my invention. So instead of being peer-to-peer digital currency, it is now peer-to-peer zero trust digital currency. Okay, building in things such as you see all throughout the patent. I mean, it's all throughout the patent. It's written explicitly in both the specification and the general description and the claims. It's in there very, very tight. You're talking like 4, 5, 6 claims being infringed on both Japan and the US. Very, very tight. So
how does that work with, we know, like you mentioned earlier, Vitalik Buterin, split off and created Ethereum. We know people who are over these DeFi programs and protocols, except DAOs. But with Bitcoin, there's a group of developers around the world. There's no central person. So who, or I guess, what would be the expectation going forward, or that you're looking for with dealing with Bitcoin, since it is supposed to be decentralized and there's no central figure?
Well, number one, we've been through it before. That's a myth, right? It is not decentralized. There are central figures.
Right. Well, I'm just speaking, as people in the community do,
Well, the people in the community are wrong. So speak accurately. First, if it's decentralized, that means everybody has access to the admin keys for the GitHub repository. So anybody can just go and change the code whenever they wish. No. Between 7 people control the Bitcoin GitHub. And that is not supposed to be.
They even have an email.
It's supposed to be available to everybody, but if it's not, then it's not decentralized. But neither that's a tangential discussions, academics could care less. Bitcoin has incorporated our invention, my invention, okay, and it's incorporated thoroughly. And so Bitcoin as a project infringes, in my opinion, okay? and it's pretty clear. So if you built if you build something, let's suppose you built a network, okay, or you built a methodology of making a network work, and the network adopted that methodology wholesale, but that network was decentralized, let's suppose it exists, right, and not owned by any individual entity. You wouldn't be concerned about bothering that network at all. What you would be concerned about is a company, let's call that company Coinbase, okay? And Coinbase, you know, makes $2 billion a quarter, $4 billion a quarter off of your idea, okay? And now it had a $60 billion liquidity event based upon your idea. And, you know, Winance, you know, does $20 billion a quarter, right? And SEX, you know, does even more, okay? Would you be out of hand if you asked them to pay for your invention or stop using it?
Not at all.
Okay.
I mean, that's, you know, that's kind of, so let me ask you, if, I mean, granted, if they hit one, it doesn't matter if they hit multiple in terms of the different claims, correct? If you hit one, you hit all. Is that how that works?
Right.
Okay.
But the more claims that you infringe upon, the harder it is to reason your way out of it. So it's possible for very skilled attorneys in creative arguments, you might be able to muddy the waters on one. Two, it's possible, but it's going to be harder. Three, unlikely. You get the 5 and 6. You know, dude, just cut a check. You know what I mean?
Right. So then, what? Well, I don't know how deep or how far you can go in explaining some of your research. But yeah, how much can you kind of elaborate more? Not to get too technical.
You just go to the patent, read the patent description, right? And then read what Bitcoin does since 2014. I can give you examples. The ability to do escrows and the ability to do trustless payments, the ability to have refunds after the fact is all explicitly explained in the patent. The reason is because we did this stuff. We built, you know, the most advanced DeFi application, probably the only DeFi application, advanced DeFi application on Bitcoin back in 2013. And so we had to do, you know, develop all this stuff, and we developed it, you know, bespoke, and we filed a patent application for it because we felt it was valuable. Apparently, the Bitcoin core developers thought it was valuable, as well as the Bitcoin Cash developers and Bitcoin Gold and Ethereum developers thought it was valuable, and so does Solana, so does Ripple developers, Axie Infinity, Uniswap, Compound. Apparently, a lot of people thought it was valuable. Again, we got a head start because I'm a hardcore finance guy, and I was, you know, swimming in a pool with a bunch of tech guys. So I looked at things differently. The tech guys eventually became very influenced by finance guys, and it's not like the patent is that broad. The patent is very specific, but the community industry has moved on to the patent versus the other way around.
Got you. So then we kind of discussed it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Multiple sections of Bitcoin that, in my opinion, infringe on the patent over multiple claims. It's not one single thing. Right.
And we briefly touched on it on your channel last week, but I just wanted to kind of bring it up here. If, you know, we see Craig Wright has, you know, his patents that already went through in court for Bitcoin. And, you know, how does that correlate when you have two different patents?
I don't believe he's went through a court with the patent. He's had copyright. There's at least one judgment that gives allows him to have the copyright for the term Bitcoin in the Bitcoin white paper, I believe, in the UK. But I haven't read it myself. I just looked at reporting. So remember my admonition about not going to primary sources. So in order for me to read it out, if I really care, I go to the actual UK judgment and read it. And I suggest does that, and don't rely on Cointelegraph or CoinDesk, etc. for those same reasons.
Right, because they're gonna put in their what is it? They put in all their conflicts of interest. lately. That since they've been changing up their writers, and well, not changing their writers, but how they operate over there.
Yeah, Craig Wright, just so Craig Wright, whether you love him or hate him or don't care about him, I'm number 3. There's other guys, Jack Fonts and True Return Systems and myself, or a
Right.
significant threat. They don't have to be, I don't believe on a significant threat, but they believe that apparently Craig Wright and Al are a significant threat to the portfolio, the owners of Cointelegraph and CoinDesk. And they seem to be behaving accordingly. I don't see it as a threat. I'm as much as a threat to the industry as Amazon is to the internet. You know, Amazon is actually a proponent of the internet. Everybody uses AWS, Amazon Web Service. It's just that they pay. You know, the only time I'm a threat to the industry is if you take something of mine and don't pay for it. But you know, anybody who you steal from is a potential threat. That's why you shouldn't steal.
Right. Or maybe they just don't know, Reggie. I don't know. They're not looking at the channels right now.
Well, your mommy and daddy should have told you not to steal growing up. So
So just checking the comments real quick. What's up, everybody? Simon Family Investment Ventures. Good afternoon, family. No questions today. Interesting comment. The next two from Trump Beats, the next 2 years will be very interesting. This is going to be decided by judges who know nothing about Bitcoin. LOL. How do you? What's your thoughts on that?
about by jurors most likely, but some of the stuff shouldn't go to trial. Like I'm pretty confident in the Bitcoin infringement case, and I've had a lot of people go over the Ethereum infringement case. A lot. You know, everybody loves it. You know, at first they would, you know, doubtful because they have to read it. But once you read it, you know, I've had 4 different parties, 3 of which were all outside, and everybody said it's, you know, perfect. The Bitcoin is an extreme fit. So if it goes to trial, 1 second.
No problem. Reggie, got to get the dog out of there, y'all. Sorry for the brief break. I had to get mine locked up. My dog's locked up upstairs.
Say it again?
I was just telling everybody he had to get the dog out of there. Mine's locked up upstairs too.
Puppy, a 10-month-old puppy who just decided to act like a puppy and peed on the floor. So
oh no.
Plots.
We understand directions at 10 months old. You're already doing a little something better.
Yeah, obedience is very strong. You know, he's 152 pounds, 10 months old, very athletic, but decided to pee on the floor.
a little slip up.
Let it stay there. But this is how much I love crypto and the industry and doing these explanatory videos. I'm gonna let the pee sit there until I finish, okay?
I think we'll be appreciative of that.
Or y'all can watch
so from another question in the comments, looks like it's in, I'm not sure if that's Chinese or Japanese, but Reggie, do you have specific VIPs that incorporated your supposed invention into the Bitcoin network?
Okay, well, suppose if you think the invention is supposed, I suggest you look it up because it's not supposed, it's actually invented, patent applied for and issued. So it's an invention, not a supposed invention. Okay, semantics or terminology make a difference. And of course, we have the specific improvement proposals. That's how we came up with the infringement thesis.
Got you. Does Stacks infringe? I think I asked you this before, but have you looked into Stacks at all since then?
I have not.
Okay.
I can take a look at something and, you know, because I've been living and breathing and stuff for a while now, and I can surmise it infringes, and I'm probably right with the 85 to 95% confidence of 90% confidence level infringes. But to actually prove it takes a lot of work because you have to go through the code, to go through the specifications, etc. It's time consuming. So it's laborious and you need smart people to do it at the same time. So when I pursue things, I am very specific and strategic reasons, such as Ethereum and Bitcoin Ripple's on-demand liquidity, Solana, etc. So a lot of the smaller projects, I haven't got a chance to. But one thing you should be aware of is that not many of the projects are very unique because they're faults of the bigger, older projects with tweaks and customizations or even radical changes. But if you fault something, unless you make the change so radical, you probably carry the infringement on with you. And if you're going to make such a radical change, it'd be easier to draw it up from scratch anyway. So, if you're a fork of any of the projects that any of the chains that I mentioned, it's a very strong chance that you incorporated the IP in your fork.
Well, I think the things with stacks is that it's more so it's a layer one still. It's just they use proof of transfer with the Bitcoin blockchain. And again, this was on we talked about on your channel last week, but I definitely think I'll look into that some more myself to kind of compare the two and kind of get more specifics, because I definitely, that's one of the I guess major scaling protocols on the Bitcoin network that's out there. So people are definitely interested in that.
Well, let's look at if Bitcoin infringes and they incorporate the Bitcoin blockchain, then they infringe because they're using an invention.
Right. Well, I was just mainly speaking to the point of forking, though.
Right. Okay, I understand.
Gotcha. I did want to ask though, what hardships do you see may encounter throughout this whole process? We talk about the research and hopefully companies and people approaching you without you having to go after them. But besides that, are there any other hardship that you foresee may come about throughout this process?
Well, there are certain very powerful parties that apparently have picked winners and losers from the very beginning, and I wasn't one of the ones they picked as a winner. So there's always them coming back to the forefront. But
right.
They have their issues, or will have their issues too. There's a lot of power and capital thrown around. The way we stand right now, it doesn't scale linearly from a capital perspective. So you have $200 million to throw at this. I have $2 million to throw at it. Your $200 million doesn't make you 100 times more likely to succeed than my 2 million. That is, pretty much guaranteed. So I'm very confident on that perspective. And we'll see. I still think the industry is not as mature as it could be, but I'm very excited about the Bitcoin evidence because it's so blatant and in the face that I believe a prudent manager shouldn't try. It's just not going to try to fight it. It doesn't make sense. If they do, they compound the inevitable and make the inevitable much worse versus, an AWS style agreement. So that's a plus, and I gave 2 potential negatives.
Okay. And then one more question. Well, not one, well, at least one more for me. With Bitcoin having a possible infringement, what does that mean for, I guess, other developers and node holders? Does it follow the same case that we've seen with some of these other, with Ethereum protocols and layer 2s and DAOs? Does this all fall under the same thing?
Well,
in terms of,
when you start a business, there are certain prudent checks you have to make, like the material you're using, is it yours to use? It's really just that simple. A lot of developers have jumped in. They've done historically a relatively small amount of work and had a significant windfall. That's good, but that's also not normal. Okay, and now normalization is coming in. You can still make gigantic windfalls if you're very smart, but you cannot basically collect economic rents that don't belong to you. That's what the exchanges have been doing. Certain parts of Bitcoin have been walking on the claims of the patent since 2014. Okay, which means that since 2014, you have exchanges that have been collecting rents by trading Bitcoin and making beaucoup money. Look at how much Coinbase has made. Look how much Binance has made, and then FTX, etc.
Oh, let's look it up. I saw your tweet earlier. Let's pull up the facts. So
That,
right here.
those are previews of the Coinbase forensic analysis coming up. This is going to be an analysis that you get from like the crypto analytics companies, or it's not going to be like Goldman Sachs reports. This is real deal from someone who understands crypto, inherently since 2013, understands the patent game, and understands valuation at an extreme degree. So what you see is our assumptions of how the numbers are going to look as the IP challenges start to come. And I am not the only one saying I have intellectual property that I don't want people using for free. There's at least 2 other patent holders, which we discuss in my channel, and all 3 of them, or all 3 or both of them, are actively and aggressively defending the IP. Craig Wright is actually suing Coinbase and Kraken, and Coinbase and Kraken is suing Craig Wright. We have True Return Systems that's going after the DAOs, because the DAOs are funding projects that are using their IP, et cetera. What you see modeled is just from our IP. So that is very, very conservative, right? Factor in 2 of the patent families, and
I see those over here.
Yeah.
So then these projections that you have going into 2026, these are just based off of your forecast?
Right. If
okay.
Look at the actual graph. There's a graph that makes it really easy to understand. It's the next, if that's the tweet, it's the next picture.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let me pull this one up.
So I'll explain that to you. What you see is, exponential growth in revenues. The big lines are the revenues, right, for Coinbase. And you also see exponential growth in profits. Okay. Now, when you see something growing that fast, it's too fast. Okay. Number one, because look at the competition. The exchange is popping up everywhere. Okay. As of right now, exchanges still aren't actually regulated. Okay. Or not heavily regulated. But regulation is coming. Competition is everywhere. You got Kraken, you got FTX, you got Binance US, you got Circle, you have Gemini, and then there's international.
Well, is Coinbase considered regulated since they're a publicly traded company, though?
They're regulated from a securities perspective, but what they're selling is not proven to be a security, and that murkiness is another drag on earnings, actually. Okay, so you have a lot of competition. Okay, you have the fact that those big lines came from selling almost 100% of those big lines, those revenue, almost 100% of that came from selling stuff that they didn't know. Okay, they sold stuff that had IP, that had intellectual property claims on it. Okay, which is what Craig Wright, they keep saying Craig Wright, N-Chain has filed suit on in the UK. This is what True Return Systems is filing suit on, and I can guarantee you that N-Chain is going to start pressing the issue on their patents as well. And then there's, Reggie Middleton and Veritasium. Okay, our patent, in my opinion, is actually very broad in regards to the exchange business, because it covers multiple blockchains and multiple projects on the blockchains, most of which are sold by Coinbase and Kraken and FTX, et cetera. So I'm not saying they're going out of business, but that growth is going to be normalized. So it's going to look more like a normal business. If you take a look at the assets, the customer asset base of Coinbase, and then you take a look at their operating income, and you divide the operating income by the customer base, you'll see a number that's outrageous, like 4%. That is high. Take a look at Charles Schwab, okay? And that number is 1% to several basis points. Take a look at E-Trade or any other, and Coinbase technically is a broker dealer. It's not an exchange. It goes to show you that the cypherpunk type developers who joined early on just didn't understand finance, but it's not a big deal. Okay.
Right.
It looked and acted like an exchange to them, so I understand that. Okay, so it's not a knock on them. It's just a misnomer. Okay, but if you look at other broker dealers, none of them make as much money as Coinbase. Okay, and Coinbase is doing nothing special. Okay, they have a lot of brand recognition, but they also offer something that is, in my opinion, totally unnecessary. The whole ethos of crypto is sovereign self-finance. So why are you giving your crypto to Coinbase? So
Right.
even if you continue to do that, competition is going to drag margins down. Regulation is going to drag margins down. And the fact that they can no longer sell things that they don't own. So free economic rent collection is going to end, which means margins are going to go down. So you see, the big lines are still going up at a steady pace. Revenues are going to increase.
That's what I was noticing. It's not like you're saying, "Oh, we're going to break the bank" or anything. It's, hey, get your affairs, and once their affairs are in order, you're still going to be, on the up and up over the next few years. I mean, that still looks like growth to me.
Yeah, as revenues are growing now. Okay.
Oh no, I'm even looking at the income before income taxes, the second bar as well.
Okay. Now I want to explain that to you, right? Look at this rate of growth over the first 3 years, right? Income has been flying.
Yeah, that 2020 to 2021, that was a big jump. That's we're gonna call it that's a COVID jump right there.
A 700% increase year over year is not natural.
Right.
Okay. They're going to take a hit. I'm assuming that they are going to try and play hardball in IP negotiations instead of simply doing an arithmetic thing, right thing. But if they do, then you have to factor in punitive damages plus compensatory damages. So if they don't fight, then that number is not going to be as bad. But I'm assuming they are, because that is the feeling and flavor I'm getting from the industry. So after that, they'll start making income again. Okay, but look at the growth rate over the last 3 years versus the first 3 years. No,
that looks more manageable and more realistic in my eyes.
Right. In other words, they're gonna look like a regular company.
Right. Okay. And I do want to add, this is not financial advice. Even though we do see this as a short, again, this is just research. This is not financial advice. Just had to throw that disclaimer out there.
It's not financial. It's not advice at all. It's called my opinion and my analysis. I'll back my analysis up as on arithmetical. I have a crazy strong and long track record, but at no time did I give advice. I gave my opinion. Okay. Now the issue is with these numbers, Coinbase is lost 75% year to date, roughly, and it's still priced as if it's going to make 700%, year-on-year gains, versus priced as Charles Schwab. So if you price income growth like Charles Schwab, then you're going to see a significant drop in the actual share price if fundamentals come into play.
Right.
And now, consideration of the patent families who are going to want to and say they want money for their work as well. They say either stop using our stuff or pay for it, and realize they have the right to say stop using it, period. That's the right of the patent holder. So they have the option not to give Coinbase an option to pay.
Now, looking in the comments, Reggie, you got a lot of Veritasium holders. It's one thing I've noticed over some of our episodes, and common sentiment, it looks like, is what is with your patents, what's the future of Veritasium? I know we've discussed this like in the first episode, but what's your final, I guess, statement about Veritasium tokens?
Well, I have no statement of Veritasium tokens. Your questions need to be directed towards the SEC enforcement unit, the SEC watchdogs that overwatches the enforcement unit, in the case you feel that they did not act on the up and up, and Congress. Okay. Now, I'm not even going to comment on that. But I don't think that story is over. And I also have expressed my desire multiple times to bring value to the Veri tokens if I can do it legally and practically. I've already said that I will accept Veri tokens as a discount mechanism for using the IP. I think a few people, 1 second.
No problem.
Oh.
And then real quick, I got a couple minutes left. Did you want to bring King on to further discuss some things today?
Yeah, we could do that. Let me finish this.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. I just wanted to interject on that.
Yeah, so I expressed my willingness to allow the Veri tokens to be accepted as a discount mechanism. I realize I probably know the breadth and depth and power of the patent more than others, but I was very confident in our IP. And now as the release information, you can see. Just think about it. Imagine if you could, or even had to, use Very tokens just to use Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything on those platforms. But
So wait, repeat that. You said to use to access Bitcoin.
I have, that's my prerogative. If Bitcoin infringes and I can prove that, or it's accepted, and I've decided to use Very tokens as a payment mechanism, voila. See, a lot of people don't seem to understand what's going on here. And it's up for the layperson and the common tech guy or investor, I can understand that. But there's some guys who have a lot of capital in big positions and they don't get it. And they're staunch in their feelings and opinions and not looking at fact and math. It's not a good place to be. Okay, so I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do it, but I am willing to allow it as a discount mechanism. First, we have to set up without a shadow of a doubt that XYZ is using our intellectual property and XYZ has to do something about it. So we can either do that as a friendly gentleman's or gentle person's conversation, or we can do it the legal way.
But for the regular holder of the Very tokens, unless they're going to take something up with or talk to the SEC directly, they should just sit back and hold tight if they want to.
Hey, I'm all for talking to the SEC. The Veritasium Telegram group has a group of many who petition the SEC more than once for a no action letter, which was refused. And the no action letter is very well written and factual, in my opinion, but I'm not a lawyer. They asked through FOIA requests to get recordings of the conversation between their counsel, not mine, their counsel and the SEC. SEC said they couldn't find it. It sounds what it sounds like. But if you follow the Ripple versus SEC case, you see a lot of similarities. One reason is because it's the same prosecuting attorney in the SEC between Ripple and I. So it's interesting. What's also very interesting is if the SEC somehow retains the ability to regulate or enforce, because I don't really feel regulations going on now, rulemaking by enforcement by suing companies, and they win, and these companies have to disgorge assets, they have to disgorge all the crypto assets off the chain. If they do that, and that chain uses our IP, then we need our cut. The SEC uses our IP just like everybody else is, and the SEC is not immune. Most people don't realize that the SEC is not immune to obeying intellectual property laws, just like nobody else is immune to it. There are a few entities that are immune at the state level and certain university levels, but the SEC is none of those.
Got you. Okay. And then I just talked to King. He said he won't be able to finish up today, but he's down to do a part 2 of this discussion next week.
No problem. I think I'm done, but anything you have to say or any comments?
I think I'm good. You kind of going through this process with you and seeing a lot of these projects is definitely an eye opener as we transition throughout this space. So I'm definitely, I'm keeping my ears and eyes to the streets and, definitely interested to see how all this stuff takes on, especially between, just Ripple and the SEC, with you and the patent claims. It's all, everything's gonna come full circle eventually. So just definitely interested to see what's going on. Did you have anything that you wanted to end off with?
Yeah, well, all this stuff that's going on are just signs of maturity in the industry. I have yet to see any regulator be as aggressive in a young startup industry as I've seen the SEC has been. It's unfortunate, but we have, more powerful, at least better financed participants who are standing up for not only themselves but others in the industry, and that's Ripple. I'm actually bravo, dude. So you're not using my IP, but bravo, and I wish you the best. Trust me, from deep down,
Yeah, y'all are in the same position. Not exactly, but it definitely don't want to see the little guy get stepped on by the big guy.
We're all in the same position. You can't regulate the industry by knocking people over heads and suing them with all the ambiguity and gray areas. And,
Right.
you know, down the rules, make it clear. If I break it, I'm in trouble. If I don't break it, I should be able to walk. You know, the rules shouldn't be written down and then you hit somebody over the head because you broke. Imagine, let's put it this way. Imagine you're driving a car, right? You're sitting in it. The cops come, they lock you up, they arrest you, and they say you have to go to jail and pay a fine. But what did you do? Well, you ran a red light, but there are no lights there. Well, it doesn't matter because you ran a red light that's not there and it's in the rules. No, it's not. You know, that's not the way to do business.
Right.
You know, and they're just squelching and squandering the economic vibrancy and power that this country has and the entrepreneurial talent. You know, they really do.
Well, they've opened up a slippery slope, so I hope they brought their ski boots.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I think we'll go ahead and end it for the week, Reggie. Appreciate your time, sir. Everybody in the comments, appreciate you guys. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you all next Wednesday. Have a good one, everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Recording off?
I don't think so. King got to do it.
Okay. I'll just leave.
Same.
Have a good one.
You too, bro.
Okay.